Scorpio, 2024 is off to a pretty significant start, at least as far as the astrology is concerned. This January is potentially bringing some promising changes to your career and maybe even your relationships as well. However, the main focus of January for you is really going to be about communication as well as your personal life. So really thinking about things like home, family, and your emotions. And there could even be some changes to the way you think about finances or your values that you are finally putting into place. If you're excited for this month's reading, then definitely be sure to hit like, subscribe, and the bell notification so you can always stay up to date with what's in the cards for you. For those of you who are brand new to this channel, hello and welcome to Serafino Esoterica. My name is Michael and I utilize tarot and tropical astrology to intuit monthly forecasts for your zodiac sign. For those of you who are ready for a deep dive, you can find links in the description of this video for personal readings and distance Reiki sessions. You can book all of that on my website. I am also running a sale through January, so if you missed the holiday sale last month, fret not. You can still get 20% off any astrology chart reading using the code in the stars. This is a great time to see what is happening for you in 2024, as well as what is playing out in your birth chart right now. While I shuffle the cards for you, Scorpio, I will just give my quick reminder that these are general readings, meaning not all of the messages that come forward are going to be meant for you specifically. It's up to your own intuition and discernment to figure out what messages apply to your own life and how, and if there are messages that should just be left behind for somebody else. If this video just doesn't resonate with you, that's totally fine. Nothing went wrong. It just wasn't meant for you at this time, but you're more than welcome to check out the other videos, maybe for your moon or rising sign. And as I'm shuffling the cards for you, I do want to talk a little bit more about the astrology because, again, we do have some pretty significant movements happening for you. We actually do start off January with Mercury going direct or moving forward in the sign of Sagittarius. Mercury has actually been retrograde for a good portion of December and moving forward in Sagittarius. This is where I really feel like any sort of issues revolving finances, stability, or values that came up in December are very likely going to become clarified for you very early on this year, literally New Year's Day. But you're probably going to be implementing these things over the next few weeks because Mercury is going to be in its post-shadow phase. That basically means that Mercury is catching up to where it was before it started moving backwards in December. And this is really a time of integration and maybe getting on the same page with other people as well. So I do feel like with all of this focus on value and finance, I really think you're kind of thinking the building blocks of your life here, or really reconsidering what your life is founded on. And I think that actually plays very nicely with the Aquarius energy that we are also coming into this month as well, because Aquarius represents your astrological fourth house of home, of family, your roots, your foundations. And so I really feel like you're building something or you're focused on something that is sustainable for you in the long term. We do actually have a few cards coming out here with the Nine of Swords, the Two of Pentacles, and the Knight of Pentacles all coming out together, and the Two of Pentacles is actually in the reverse. Now, it feels like some of you have been going through some period of anxiety or distress with the Nine of Swords, maybe getting a little too stuck in your head, but I do feel like you've been working steadily towards your goals and being very diligent. However, the Two of Pentacles in reverse here feels like maybe you have let something go or something had to kind of fall away. You were juggling too many things and maybe that's why you are anxious. There might have also been changes at work or at home, just something in your daily life that was shifting that was very dysregulating for you. However, again, with the Knight of Pentacles, I do feel like at least on the surface, Scorpio, people are seeing you as very steady. They're seeing you as very consistent. And I feel like there's a lot that's going on beneath the surface that maybe not a lot of people are keying into with you, which kind of makes sense with your sign. And I do feel like part of this is also going to be communicating. You know, with the Nine of Swords, you're going to need to talk some things out because I think you're kind of spiraling in your own head. You know, you're telling yourself things, you're thinking about things, you're kind of just making yourself anxious. And specifically around the 11th 111, we have a new moon in Capricorn, which is your third house of communication, of ideas, the conscious mind, as well as even just your day-to-day life. I feel like there are some things that are needing to be exposed or talked about with Judgment. There are things that you are reviewing in your life. And it's really like, what is worth your time and energy? That is something that I feel like you're going to be thinking a lot about in the beginning of January and maybe throughout January. But it feels like you've already kind of been in this headspace even since December. And now you could be making some big decisions and implementing some major changes. And also with the new moon in Capricorn, this is a really good time to manifest with your words. Your words are especially powerful because, again, the new moon is in Capricorn. We are in Capricorn season, and Capricorn represents your words, your expression. And so it's really important that you are tracking the words, the thoughts you are thinking, any sort of narrative you have about yourself or your situation could really be impacting you in a larger way than you realize. And this could be part of this revelation, this kind of wake-up call with Judgment. Let's actually clarify. What is Judgment about here? Interesting. So we do have the Tower in reverse with the Page of Pentacles. I feel like some of you are experiencing a minor setback, or you're afraid of like a really big, explosive downfall of something. But I don't actually think that's what's happening here. I'm really getting the sense, Scorpio, that your mind is kind of getting the best of you. Your anxiety, rather, is getting the best of you. And I really feel like with the Page of Pentacles, you still have a lot to work with. Especially if there has been some sort of ending for you in career, which, could be possible because we do have a full moon in Leo this month as well. That's not until the 25th. But this full moon is actually a very positive one. Even though they can often bring about endings or, major changes, it's also a peaking of energy. I feel like there's still something that is yet to peak for you. And you still have an ability to work through situations that are challenging. Maybe there's even like relationships with people that feel very challenged. I'm getting a lot of earth sign energy, so maybe with a Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn. We do also have Mars energy with the Tower, so that's your sign, Scorpio, as well as Aries. I really get the sense like there are some major shifts that are taking place, and I think there's almost this anxiety about it. You feel energetically things are shifting, and it's like you're jumping to worst case scenario. But I think there's just something big that's kind of happening. Yeah, Seven of Cups. Things aren't necessarily as they appear. That is the message of the Seven of Cups. And, there can be almost this like deceptive or elusive quality to this card. And I feel like there's a lot that you need to clarify. There are a lot of really important conversations you need to have that maybe you are afraid to have, Scorpio. But those are the conversations that are actually going to really solidify you and your relationships. What else do we have for Scorpio? Something really important to kind of keep in mind too. We do have the Sun joining together with Pluto on the 20th. This is right before the Sun and Pluto actually enter into Aquarius. But right before they do that, they are coming closest together, actually in the 29th or last degree of Capricorn. And whenever something happens at that critical 29th degree, there's usually a major ending or transformation or shift. And for you, this is about your mind. This is about communication. Again, there's a really big truth or message that you are either receiving or sharing this month. And I feel like you are kind of anxious about this. It's like you're kind of feeling a lack of confidence with the Queen of Wands. Could also be fire energy. This is Aries energy. Or Sagittarius or Leo. And the thing is, too, Scorpio, there's actually a lot of really potentially beautiful things happening for you in relationships right now. And I say that because Jupiter actually went forward, it went direct in your opposite sign of Taurus on December 30th. And we now have Uranus going direct at the end of January, also in Taurus. So this could be bringing really sudden and unexpected shifts in relationships for you. But Jupiter is a very positive energy. And so I feel like part of this need to have really important conversations is actually bringing you closer together with somebody. And as I say that, I get the King of Cups, which is actually a card that indicates your energy most often. But I really feel like this is just about having these really emotional conversations in a very composed way. It doesn't feel like there is this explosion. It doesn't feel like there's this dramatic downfall or anything like that's very disruptive. It's almost like the lead up or the anticipation is worse than the actual conversation. And there's this element of collaboration here as well with the Three of Pentacles. You could be working together with someone, building something. I feel like, especially with the full moon in Leo on the 25th, this could be a really great time to work on something or finish something, especially something involving a group of people. What other messages do we have for Scorpio? We have the King of Wands. Yeah, I feel like you got this, Scorpio. Like, whatever it is that you're second guessing yourself on, once you start doing it, you realize very quickly how capable you are. And I think it's really important to not let your fear run wild in January. I actually want to ask, what is going on in relationships for Scorpio specifically? What is going on in relationships? Show us clearly, please. We have the Ten of Cups. Yeah, I mean, really harmonious relationships. The Ten of Cups often represents marriage. It represents harmony. It represents connection. And this fulfillment that is shared between people. It's like this overflowing energy that's really, really beautiful and positive. And I feel like for some of you, you're also rethinking what your notions of happiness and relationships really look like. Maybe some of you have this kind of traditional view of relationships, or you grew up with a very traditional view of how things should be, or just a specific way of how your life should look. And maybe you're sorting through that, because the Ten of Cups is also asking you, what does happiness look like for you? Because that can be a very different picture depending on who you are talking to. For some people, it's the spouse, it's the house, the fence, the kids. But that's not going to speak to everybody. What would having your dreams come true look like? But really, this is just a very beautiful card overall when it comes to relationships. And I feel like a lot of you are either leveling up in a relationship, like there's some sort of commitment or moving to the next level in a relationship, or you're just ready for a very serious relationship. And you're not messing around. What else do we have? What are the blessings for Scorpio for the month? Or what are the messages for relationships for Scorpio? We will get into blessings in just a moment. What are the messages for relationships? Any other messages for love and connection for Scorpio? We do have the Queen of Cups as well. So interesting to have the King and Queen of Cups on the table here. This kind of signifies a really beautiful pair. Very watery energy here as well. Some of you could be connecting with a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. I know I pretty much all of these different energies have been on the table at this point, but I really feel like there is something about you perhaps building a life either with a water sign or someone who you just have a very strong and emotional connection with, maybe even psychic connection with at times. You could be dreaming with this person or just having very strong feelings from them, because the Queen of Cups is very, very psychic. She's very, very intuitive. And I feel like, again, there's just a lot of happiness to be shared between you and another person. And I think it's also really important to share your heart with people, and specifically with someone who you really care about. Now, what are the blessings coming for Scorpio? Because that feels pretty positive to me, to be honest. What are the blessings for Scorpio? Show us clearly, please. Interesting. We do have the Ten of Swords, and this card kind of flashed out before. It does feel like there are things that are coming to an end, but this could really be you, because this is a blessing for you. There are things that are closing out in your life right now that have been very challenging for you. And I really feel like the Ten of Swords, there's almost this energy of something is finally over. This struggle is finally over. And being the swords, it could be something mental for you. It could be something in your head. But something very significant is coming to an end, and that is a blessing. What is this ending about? Tell us what this Ten of Swords is about. Show us clearly, please. Okay, so we do have the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. For many of you, there is this ending regarding a period of instability in your life or a lack of commitment or security. You are coming into an energy that is much more secure and much more stable for you in the long term. Anything else we should know about this Ten of Swords? Anything else? Anything else about the Ten of Swords? We have the Six of Cups as well. There could be some maybe deep-seated issues that you are healing from, because the Six of Cups often indicates some sort of healing, especially inner child healing or reconnecting with things from the past. Sometimes it indicates reconciliation as well, but honestly, given the context of these cards, it feels like you are letting go of something that has been like maybe a lifelong belief that has held you back, or insecurity. And you're really reconnecting with what's most important to you, Scorpio. Any other blessings for Scorpio? Any other blessings? Show us clearly, please. Wow. Yeah, okay, so Five of Cups and Eight of Cups. You really are moving on from a very challenging and emotional period. I feel like you've just been through it, Scorpio. And I think with your co-ruling planet Pluto moving into the sign of Aquarius, there is some major shift where it's like you are coming home to yourself. You are really tapping into your heart more, and that's actually going to be a theme that's really going to be playing out for the next 20 years. So it's actually really important to kind of pay attention to what's coming up for you in 2024, and maybe even around the 20th when Pluto moves into Aquarius, because there's definitely a major shift that is happening for you there. Anything else? Something I do want to kind of point your attention to as well. We do have Venus in Capricorn, which for you is about communication and expression. Venus is the planet of love and beauty. It is actually forming a trine or a harmonious aspect with Jupiter in Taurus. Jupiter is lucky, it's expansive, and Taurus is your sign of relationships and commitments. There really could be a commitment for some of you as well during this time, or you're just very much speaking from your heart, and that is an energy that is very accessible and easy to you at this time. But I feel like there's some good news that you are receiving. I'm just kind of thinking that also as a blessing here. Maybe there is someone you are connected to who has been going through a hard time, and that is something that is finally ending for them. But I really feel like you are coming out of a period of feeling very isolated and alone, or very like stuck inside of yourself, Scorpio, and you're now moving in a direction that feels maybe a little unknown and a little out of your comfort zone, but it's a lot more nourishing to you. It's a lot more fulfilling. And I feel like your life is about to become a lot more fulfilling. Yeah, don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. That is definitely a message I see kind of repeating throughout this spread here. Any final blessings, any other blessings for Scorpio? Show us clearly, please. We do have the Five of Wands. So interpreting this as a blessing, it feels like there could be some end to a conflict. There could be an end to a defensiveness or feeling like you are less than. Because sometimes the Five of Wands also indicates an element of competition, and maybe you have been underestimating yourself. But I really feel like with the Five of Wands showing up as the blessing here, someone is finally sticking up for what's right. That could be you, that could be somebody else. But it feels like there's something that needs to be said that's finally being said. And it feels like it's bringing an end to some sort of conflict or tension. And this feels very long-standing to me, if I'm being honest. Maybe even some sort of family feud could potentially be coming to an end, especially with siblings would make a lot of sense, but really any sort of family feud is something I could be seeing. Or maybe even a conflict between you and friends who are like family. That's also another way I could kind of feel this energy manifesting, at least for some of you. I do want to pull an animal card now. I really like to think of this as an energy for you to embody in the month of January. So what is the energy for Scorpio to embody? Show us clearly, please. We do have the gazelle. And this is a really beautiful energy because gazelle is very attuned to its environment and often speaks of having a peaceful home and really taking care of yourself, which really makes sense, especially as we're coming into Aquarius season for you. It's also this kind of message where, yes, gazelle does have this grace, it has this beauty and this awareness, but sometimes this does border onto hyper-vigilance. Because a gazelle is a prey animal, it's always looking out for threats. But when I look at this particular card, it's not about being overwhelmed and being afraid all the time. It's just this look of acknowledgement, looking at something head on. And that kind of takes the fear out of it. So that's really interesting and kind of specific that's coming in right now. But I do feel like for some reason, you're just very anxious, you're very nervous, you're very hyper-vigilant, Scorpio. And I think maybe that kind of goes with your sign a little bit, but there's something here that feels like it needs to be resolved or kind of worked through or processed. Maybe even something that you could talk about with another person. We also have the eagle. And this is a card about just going for it, stepping out of your comfort zone. There's a major change or major shift in your life. And when I often think of the eagle, I can't help but remember the death spiral of the bald eagle, which is this mating ritual that they do where they lock talons and they spiral down towards the earth together, and only at the last minute they split apart. And it's kind of this show of like, do you have my back? Are you going to stick with me in the hardest or most challenging circumstances? And that could be something that's really happening for you in relationships. There is a relationship that may have been tested, but it is actually stronger for what you have gone through together. Or there is just a really strong relationship you are about to enter into. However, the eagle could also represent your relationship to the universe itself. And you are taking this leap of faith, this trust fall into something. Either way, Scorpio, I'm going to be honest, it doesn't feel like it's necessarily easy at first, but once you step out of your comfort zone, there's almost this relief or this freedom that you feel, and you might ask yourself, why did I wait so long? And I think that's a very freeing and liberating place for you to be, especially if you have been so stuck in your head. And I think those are all the messages I have for you this month, Scorpio. I do hope that this was helpful. Definitely be sure to hit like and subscribe, especially if you've made it this far. Maybe even comment down below, what is it that you need to share? Maybe this is a good space to do that, so definitely be supportive to each other. I do also have links in the description of this video for personal readings and Reiki sessions. And again, I am offering 20% off on astrology readings this month. So if you want to get a more in-depth personal look at what is happening for you in 2024 and in the stars, this is a great time to do that. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care, Scorpio. Have a happy and blessed January.